What is up? Welcome in, everybody, to another lovely week of your fantasy football tune-up. That's right. It's your new day, Tuesdays. I wanted to get to you on Tuesdays. Wednesdays are just super busy for me. Plus, if I get to you on Tuesdays, I can hook you up on your waiver wires because we all know waiver wires go through Wednesday mornings at 3 a.m. So Tuesday nights you got to get your waiver wires done. So that's why Tuesday's perfect, right? Your new day for your fantasy football tune-up. We got more people out this week. We had another fun week of football with some surprise faces putting up big numbers. We had some key players with injuries that are gonna kind of hurt some of your lineups out there. But don't you worry, it's what I'm here for. I got you covered, got your backups covered. So we're gonna go through. If you got any questions, go ahead, drop them in the chat. If you want to get up in the Discord and I can talk you through it, hit that link and then enjoy. But first, get your drinks and your snacks and kick back.
Well, all right, Ron, it's been great talking to you.
Alrighty. So, of course, before we jump straight into the goodies for week 4, I'm going to look at our top 10 from week 3. Trey Tucker over there with the Raiders, finding his rhythm with Geno Smith. Had a really good game. He put up 40 points. Of course, Jonathan Taylor had another big game this week, playing against Tennessee. David Montgomery with 30 points had a big game last night against the Baltimore Ravens, but that big 50-yard run and the 2 touchdowns was the bulk of it. So don't expect that to be a consistent workload for David Montgomery. I think that was kind of just because of the matchup between the Baltimore Ravens. Caleb Williams against Dallas. Again, once we go through our quarterbacks, we'll talk about this performance here. 29 points, top quarterback of the week. Then Jalen Hurts right behind him. There's your consistency right there. Jalen Hurts is turning out to be the most consistent quarterback so far. Even more consistent than Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Even though you would think like the hype around Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, they're labeled as top tier. Jalen Hurts is way more consistent. So great value for him because a lot of people were able to get Jalen Hurts in the 5th round, and you're having to get Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson in the 2nd to 3rd round. So great value. Hunter Henry playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the 2nd week in a row he did pretty well. He did exceptionally well this past week with 8 receptions, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, got him 29 points. Mark Andrews had a bounce back game last night in Baltimore, but if you were paying attention to the Detroit defense, you should know that they're not gonna the Ravens weren't going to be able to pass deep on Detroit. You had to hit that inside zone area. Your tight ends, Rashad Bateman, and your running backs are key for that. So that's why, if you were paying attention last week, I told you guys don't play Zay Flowers. There you go. Consistency from Lamar Jackson, 27 points. And then Jahmyr Gibbs rounds off our top 10. 27 points in a PPR league. Definitely consistent there. So if you go down through it with these top 10, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs will be back in your top 10 next week. The rest of these guys, don't expect the performance. Expect the same performance. So we're going to start with quarterbacks. Of course, it's the most important position. Let's start with the quarterbacks. I actually need to find me a good quarterback for this week. Currently I have Aaron Rodgers and Daniel Jones on my roster, on my active roster, which I don't like the matchups that they have. Actually, I don't like the next 5 matchups that Aaron Rodgers has. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop Aaron Rodgers and look for a quarterback. And Daniel Jones, if you have him on your roster, I would suggest keeping him and just not playing him this week against the Rams. I do think that the Rams are going to expose the Indianapolis Colts offense. I do not expect Daniel Jones to have a big game. You've seen he had a little dip last week, putting up 15 points compared to his normal 25 to 30 points through the first 2 weeks. So do expect a dip in Daniel Jones this week, so I will not be playing him. I am looking to add a quarterback. Some of the quarterbacks that I'm looking at, these quarterbacks are probably on your waiver wires as well. CJ Stroud this week, it's kind of interesting going against the Tennessee Titans. If you go back and you look at the last 3 games with the Tennessee Titans, they have allowed quarterbacks to put up points against them. CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans are not sitting in a pretty position right now, and they're definitely looking for a bounce back win. I do believe that CJ Stroud and Nico Collins could potentially slice up the secondary over there in Tennessee, and CJ Stroud could have a good week. This projection for him that they have, 17.4, is probably correct. And he'll probably get right around there. So that's a good option. Trevor Lawrence in San Francisco. You would think that Trevor Lawrence is going to have a good bounce back game from the bad game that he had last week with no touchdowns. Only putting up less than 8 points. Not a good performance from Trevor Lawrence. Typically, he would have a bounce back game here, but going against San Francisco, who has been holding quarterbacks to very low or modest numbers, I'm not going to trust it. So we're getting rid of Trevor Lawrence. Cam Ward in Houston. I honestly believe that this is going to be a get right game for the Tennessee Titans. If you look at Cam Ward through the first 3 weeks, he has gotten progressively better, right? So week 1, 12 for 28, 112 yards and a fumble. Week 2, 19 for 33, 175 yards, a touchdown, a fumble. 4 carries for 8 yards. Week 3, 23 for 38, 219 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. 3 carries for 12 yards. So he still has an issue handling the ball. 3 turnovers in all 3 of the games. Well, 1 turnover per game for the last 3 games. Not a good way to start the season. The Houston Texan defense is very stingy, especially in the secondary. So even though the Tennessee Titans could have a good game here, I'm not going to trust it. I can definitely see going from the first 3 games that he's probably going to have another turnover against Houston, whether it be an interception or a fumble. Most likely an interception. So we're going to stay away from there. Jake Browning going against Denver, don't even think about it. Geno Smith, Bryce Young, Sam Darnold is questionable. Like, they're looking okay over there in Seattle with him using JSN, also having Cooper Kupp as a backup. and then you got Kenneth Walker running the rock. So, but Arizona's secondary is not an easy task. It's also a Thursday night game, so I'm kind of limiting myself by picking a Thursday night quarterback because Thursday's right around the corner, and like something could change, and you could get a backup quarterback. Like, I'm just gonna play it safe, and we're gonna stay away from that. Marcus Mariota, he did well. They did well this past week, filling in for Jaden Daniels, but Jaden Daniels is still day to day, and could end up playing, even though it doesn't look like he's gonna play. He could end up playing. But playing against Atlanta, even though Atlanta let Carolina put 30 points on them this past week, I don't think that's going to happen again. So we're going to stay away from Marcus Mariota. Mac Jones is questionable, but Brock Purdy is probably going to end up starting. He was trending towards starting last week, so if Mac Jones here remains questionable, Brock Purdy probably gets a start. Which kind of changes that San Francisco Jacksonville pick that I picked yesterday. But that's neither here nor there. So these next two quarterbacks, though, are the ones that I'm really eyeballing as far as picking up and putting on my waiver wire. So it is official that Jackson Dart is going to get the start for the Giants in week 4. They announced it probably about 3 or 4 p.m. today. Brian Daboll had a couple pressers, and he was saying that he was open to it. So Jackson Dart will get the start. The only problem with this is they're going against the Los Angeles Chargers, which is a pretty nasty defense and probably a top 3 team in the NFL right now. I would rank them at number 3. So I don't think it's a good pickup. But Carson Wentz, on the other hand, if you go back and you look at Pittsburgh's games, quarterbacks are putting up good numbers against this Pittsburgh defense. Even though they do have a pretty good defense, they're pretty vulnerable on the back end. So, and Carson Wentz has the weapons. You got Justin Jefferson, you got Jalen Naylor, you got TJ Hawkinson, you got Jordan Mason now, which is definitely better than Aaron Jones. But I mean, like, when Aaron Jones comes back, that's going to be a nice little two-headed backfield they're going to have over there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my waiver in for Carson Wentz. And I'm going to drop Aaron Rodgers. Confirm. Alright, so I just got to wait for the waiver wires to roll through in the morning. I am waiver order number 3 of 12. So if I don't get Carson Wentz, I'll probably end up going with CJ Stroud. I'll probably end up going with CJ Stroud against Tennessee, to be honest. That's the second best option. Because Jackson Dart, it seems really appealing, but going against the Chargers for game 1, I'm just not going to trust that. We could go Tyrod Taylor against the Miami Dolphins on Monday night. That's you see what the Dolphins have been letting quarterbacks do. Like they've been making average quarterbacks look like MVP caliber quarterbacks because the lack of our secondary and our front seven's not rushing. So, but if you go through, all right, so now we need to get to the regular ones, scoring leaders, QBs. All right, so you got Josh Allen's in New Orleans. Obviously, you're starting him. All right, so Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott. You're probably starting. Jordan Love, if you got him, you're starting him. No questions there. Jaden Daniels, you're just going to have to keep an eye on him. Again, it's day to day. If if you have Jaden Daniels, I hope you already have Marcus Mariota as your backup, because you're definitely going to need to keep an eye on that up to game time. Jaden Daniels missed Washington's Week 3 contest against the Raiders due to a knee issue. Marcus Mariota performed admirably in his place. Mariota completed 15 of 21 for 207 yards and a touchdown, while also rushing for an additional 40, as well as another tutty in their 41-24 win. While the knee injury for Daniels is not considered serious, it remains to be seen if Daniels will be able to suit up Week 4 against the Falcons. Atlanta's defense has been surprisingly stout thus far in 2025, at least in terms of yards allowed, yielding just 227.3 yards from scrimmage, which is second in the NFL. So, with that being said, you definitely need to keep an eye on that. I mean, you seen what Carolina did to Falcons defense last week. They kind of lit them up, but that was mostly special teams, so don't look too much into that. Baker Mayfield honestly could worry me. So if he's your starting quarterback, please message me and let me know who your other quarterback available is, because honestly, Baker Mayfield against Philadelphia this week, that could be a little iffy. Boom, boom, a boom, boom. I don't trust Dak Prescott against Green Bay this week either. Bo Nix against Cincinnati. Definitely start him. Kyler Murray in Seattle. You're definitely going to want to start him. Caleb Williams in Chicago. I think Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears are getting together. You're not going to see a 4-touchdown, 300-yard game from him every week. But the numbers that he put up this week, 29, I think that's his ceiling. But I think he's going to average somewhere around his week 1 numbers, especially this week against the Raiders. So he put up 25 points in week 1. He's not on a lot of waivers. He's rostered on 80% of teams, so he's probably sitting on somebody's bench. So I'm just saying, if you have Baker Mayfield and Caleb Williams, I probably would start Caleb Williams over Baker Mayfield this week. Jordan Love at Dallas. Definitely start Jordan Love over any other quarterback you got, because you've seen how vulnerable Dallas is to this in the secondary. Like, quarterbacks have been lighting them up. There's been high-scoring games. Jared Goff in Cleveland. This one is a tricky one because Cleveland is a muddy team. They keep it gritty, usually low scoring, run the clock out, not a lot of points type of game. So play Jared Goff with your own risk. If he's your only option, like if it's Jared Goff or Drake May, I would go Jared Goff. But I would go Jordan Love or Caleb Williams or Baker Mayfield over Jared Goff. Say Jared Goff 5 times fast. Jared Goff, Jared Goff, Jared Goff, Jared Goff. Jared Goff, Jared Goff, Jared Goff, Jared Goff. Drake May against Carolina, that's a good play. Keep an eye on Brock Purdy. If he plays against Jacksonville, that's definitely a good play. You definitely want to play Brock Purdy against Jacksonville. And hold on, I just got to hit something real quick.
Don't agree with it? That's too bad.
Like and subscribe anyways. Silly. Silly Manili. Matthew Stafford in Indy, that's a good play right there. He's he's probably on your waiver wire. He's only rostered in 37% of the leagues, so that's definitely a good pickup. I might actually look to pick him up. If I don't get, I don't think he's in my waivers, or I would have saw him. But I would pick him up to play this week for sure, over Aaron Rodgers, over Michael Penix Jr., over Drake May, over Jared Goff. That's probably as high as I would put him this week. Actually, playing against Indy, it could be a high-scoring game on both sides. I'm going to leave him there. And then we go to the running backs. We got a running back out this week. James Conner is out indefinitely for the season. So a lot of fantasy owners out there are looking for a running back to replace him. And no, Trey Benson is not going to be your answer. I'm sorry. This is not a situation where you can just plug in the backup running back and everything is going to be okay. Trey Benson in his second year, he had a decent year last year. Let's pull up his numbers. He had a modest year one. "13 games played, 63 carries, 291 yards, a 4.6 average, and 1 touchdown. His longest run was 20 yards. He had a fumble." So, and so far in the 3 games this year, he's had 21 carries, 125 yards, 6 average, a 52 long, and no fumbles in 3 games. But I mean, so it does show a little bit of an increase, because if he's got a little bit less than half of the yardage he had in year one on a third of the carries. But it looks like a majority of it came from one run, which was 52 yards. So I'm still going to stick with where I stand. Let's see, he does have some receiving numbers. 6 receptions for 59 yards. In the first year, 8 receptions on 11 targets for 45 yards this year. So he's already seeing more production receiving, but I don't think he's going to put up James Conner numbers in place of him. So don't rely on him as your backup. If you have him, he's probably sitting on your fringe flex spot, and I'm going to find you somebody better to use in his place. Let's check the waiver wires. Let's check who might be on your waiver wires. Kenneth Gainwell had a pretty good game last week. He's a veteran running back over there in Pittsburgh. He did get the touchdown. That's the type of running back he is. He's going to be their goal line guy, their third and short guy. You also seen him get a couple receptions as well. So Kenneth Gainwell, I would play Kenneth Gainwell over Trey Benson. Not Justice Hill, not Ray Davis. Woody Marks. Woody Marks is probably, if he's on your waiver wire, which he probably is because he's only rostered in 9% of leagues around ESPN. This is the guy you need to look into getting. He's coming off, it's a rookie, and he's coming in and he's fighting for the number 1 spot from Nick Chubb. He did a pretty good job the other day, last week, this past game. So I would say pick him up and slide him in over Trey Benson. Now, I don't know what the rest of your running back room looks like. You might already have some decent backup running backs. Miles Sanders is a good option. Green Bay's the type of game where the Dallas Cowboys might have to run the ball a ton. And if that's the case, Javonte Williams can't do it all. That means Miles Sanders is going to get some usage. Jeremy McNichols. With Austin Eckler still being out, he's a clear backup to Jeremy McCroskey Merritt. So, and he does pretty well. He had a big breakout run this past week. It was like 60 yards for a touchdown, broke through like 5 tackles, completely dominant. Looked great run, great run. He has big breakout speed, so that would be a good pickup in place of James Conner as well. Some people are saying that Chris Rodriguez Jr. could be, but he hasn't shown us enough so far in the touches that he's gotten to constitute putting him in over Jeremy McNichols or Bill McCroskey Merritt. But since we're in the running backs, there's a running back out there. If you have an issue and you have James Conner and you're like, man, he's out for the season, and I don't really have a great running back room, but I got some good wide receivers. I got some decent wide receivers. Maybe you need to go find the person in your league that has Alvin Kamara. You can see I already got it going. I'm waiting for them to respond to me, but I don't think they're going to respond to me. You need to go and find out who has Alvin Kamara in your league, and you need to work a trade. Figure out how to get Alvin Kamara. Yes, he's not doing really good now, and this is why you need to go get him now, because now he's really cheap. You can get him for really cheap. But in a couple weeks, don't be surprised if it's as soon as next week or the week after. Don't be surprised if Alvin Kamara is on a new team and the Saints ship him off before the trade deadline rolls around, get a few picks for him, maybe a third rounder, a couple third rounders, whatever they work out, and he goes to a new team. Because there's some teams out there that need it. Imagine if he went to Arizona and you just got rid of James Conner and just slid Alvin Kamara right in there. Alvin Kamara would thrive over in Arizona right now. Doing what James Conner was doing, he's a better version of James Conner. So, if you're having running back issues, go get Alvin Kamara. I guarantee you, especially after the week that he just put up. Let's go look at his numbers. Not very great. Week 1, week 2, week 3. 13.7 in week 1, 16 in week 2, 6.5 in week 3. You could definitely find an appealing trade for someone in your league and get him. Yo, what's up, Waffles? So I suggest going and doing that ASAP. That'll be your fantasy league saving move right there. By week 7, he's going to be back to putting up 25 points a game. So, running through the running backs going into week 4, you got Saquon Barkley playing Tampa Bay, Jahmyr Gibbs playing Cleveland. This one actually honestly scares me, Jahmyr Gibbs against Cleveland. I have Jahmyr Gibbs on my team, and I'm going to be, come Sunday, I'm going to be on the fringe sweating whether I should actually sit this guy and play somebody else. Just because how Cleveland defense, they're not a great team. They're actually a really crappy team, but they're so crappy that they make the games crappy. Just how it works. Bijan Robinson, definitely going to get his numbers and utilization, play him. Christian McCaffrey, of course. Derrick Henry, yes, he's getting the fumbles. That's 3 fumbles so far, 1 in every game, and 2 of them so far have been game-changing fumbles. Not good. But I would still play him against Kansas City. You're not going to bench a guy like Derrick Henry. Josh Jacobs in Dallas, going to play him. Jonathan Taylor at the Rams, He's not going to put up 30 points, but you're still going to play him. Devon A-Chain, he's going to get the utilization. He's pretty much a dual threat right now. He's our wide receiver 3, and he's our RB1. So you're obviously playing him. Ashton Genty in Chicago, though, I would be wary of playing Ashton Genty. He has not came out so far and done a phenomenal job, and I tried to warn everybody. Before the season started. Do not waste a first-round draft pick on this guy. And so far through 3 weeks, 12 points, 7 points, and 6 points. And then he's playing an even harder front defense in Chicago this week. So expect those numbers to be about the same this week. I would highly suggest, if you have him as your RB1 or 2, to slide him down to your flex and make him replaceable ASAP, because he's going to have another small game. Bucky Irving against the Philadelphia Eagles. This one here, too, kind of worries me. I would slide Bucky Irving down to my flex and expect, like, they have him projected for about 17.5. I would say that's like the ceiling for this game against Philadelphia for Bucky Irving. So take that into consideration when you're deciding your flex options. Of course, you're going to be playing James Cook against New Orleans. The Cincinnati Bengals have fallen apart. Joe Burrow's out. Jake Browning is not the guy. They're playing a Denver defense that is not something to mess around with. Got a nasty secondary. But the fact that they got a nasty secondary does give a little bit more value to Chase Brown. It's going to make them rely on running the ball more, especially since Jake Browning's shown he can't really throw the ball to Jamar Chase that well. I would, even though he had a very bad game last week, only putting up 6 points, I would go ahead and keep him in your RB2 spot. Keep him there. He's going to have a better... Actually, he plays Monday, so put him in your flex. Because he plays Monday. So you don't have to... Yeah, put him in your flex because he plays Monday. So it's like you don't have to worry about that spot getting jammed up, and you can always make a last-minute change if you need to. Kyron Williams, of course, you're going to play it. I'm already telling you, go ahead and play Alvin Kamara. Even though they're playing Buffalo, I do think he's going to get a moderate game this week. He's probably looking around 13 to 16 points. So he's a flex spot. Chuba Hubbard's going to have a good game against New Orleans. Kenneth Walker, he's a start. Omarion Hampton against the Giants is going to be a start. Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, the New York Jets running backs. You know, the Miami Dolphins don't look great right now, but neither do the New York Jets. And the New York Jets definitely thrive on running the ball. That's their forte. But, man, the one thing that the Dolphins are doing well right now is stopping the run. And I don't know so much if it's stopping the run or just the fact that teams know that our secondary sucks and they can pass the ball all day long, and they're just deciding to pass the ball and not run. Either way, if the Jets are paying attention, which they should be, they're probably going to try and get pass happy, and that's going to cut into the value for Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. This projection here for Breece Hall, 16 points, is probably his ceiling this week. So, but the Dolphins, man. You know what? We're just going to go with a start for Breece Hall. Just go ahead and start him. If you got him, you're starting him. Dolphins are somehow going to let him get 120 yards and a touchdown. So go ahead and start him. DeAndre Swift, playing the Raiders. He's probably your flex spot. David Montgomery, again, we were talking about it earlier. I do not think he's going to put up a performance against the Browns like he did against the Ravens. That was kind of just a situational thing. So you're not playing David Montgomery. You're not falling for it. Do not even consider him for your flex. Don't consider him for any running back spot. You don't want to do it. Javonte Williams, he should be in your RB1 spot or RB2 spot this week. Same with Trayvon Henderson. Tony Pollard as well. I would play Tony Pollard in my flex. I think this number 13.7 that they got for Tony Pollard here is a little bit low compared to the matchup against Houston. And then Jaylen Warren against Minnesota, I would be wary on that one. Like, if you have to play Jaylen Warren, okay, play him. But I wouldn't rely on him to put up big numbers this week. Oh, look at that. And as soon as I start talking about Jaylen Warren, get a question for it. Trade Jaylen Warren and Devontae Smith for Amon-Ra. Other running backs are Benson, Henderson, and RJ Harvey. Alright, so I was just talking about Benson not too long ago. I don't trust Benson as a backup for James Conner. I don't trust it. I don't even think the Arizona Cardinals are going to trust it. And honestly, don't be surprised if you see Alvin Kamara join with the Arizona Cardinals in the next couple weeks. And I would suggest trying to go out and get Alvin Kamara. You could probably make that trade, Jaylen Warren and Devontae Smith. Or you want Amon-Ra St. Brown? That's not a bad trade. If you can get that trade, that's not a bad trade. But I would probably do Trey Benson instead of Jaylen Warren. I think Jaylen Warren, even though he's not a good match this week, he has a better output for you for future games. Because Henderson's good, and RJ Harvey's coming into his own. So soon he'll start putting up big points for you. Because I do believe here in the next couple games he will be taking that number one running back spot away from J.K. Dobbins. Because it's like a split back right now, but it's like an even split back. Look, J.K. Dobbins isn't doing too bad with his carries either. Where's RJ Harvey? So if you compare the two, RJ Harvey is actually losing touches compared to J.K. Dobbins. So he started in week 1 with six touches. He got 70 yards. I'm guessing it doesn't tell me the long. I'm guessing one of those carries was probably for a long run. And then week 2, he got 5 carries, 8 yards, 1.6 average, 1 reception, 16 yards. Week 2, 2 carries, 2 yards, 1 average. But he was playing the Chargers. Yeah, I don't know, man. RJ Harvey, I take that back, man. RJ Harvey is not taking the job away from J.K. Dobbins. 16 carries, 14 carries, 11 carries. And J.K. Dobbins is definitely doing his job. 63 yards, 76 yards, 83 yards, touchdowns in all of those games. We need to help you out with your running back room, my friend. What does your waiver wire look like? What does your waiver wire look like? Woody Marks. Here's one. Here's a running back you can go grab off your waiver wire. Go ahead and switch this guy out for RJ Harvey. Where's his weekly stats? Let's It's not showing me his week 1, week 2, week 3. There we go. So he had 3 carries and for 3 yards in week 1, 3 carries for 14 yards in week 2, with a reception for 37 yards. In week 3, he had 6 carries for 27 yards, 1 reception for 9 yards. So he's getting increased role over there in Houston. Yes, of course, he's splitting it with Nick Chubb, but I would say he has better upside than RJ Harvey does, especially based on the numbers and the trend. Miles Sanders is another one you can probably go get off your waiver wire. If you look at his trend, he puts up consistent numbers around between 7 to 10. You can see 4 carries for 53 yards, a reception, 5 carries, 15 yards, a touchdown, 2 receptions, 4 yards. And then week 3, 9 carries, 41 yards, 3 receptions. So honestly, if he's on your waiver wire, I would go pick up Miles Sanders in place of RJ Harvey. With RJ Harvey all year long, you're going to be chasing the touchdown potential. Appreciate it. All right, moving on. So where were we at? We were at Breece Hall, Devontae, Trayvon Henderson. We were at Jalen Warren. Travis Etienne, of course you're going to play him. I probably would stay away from playing Pacheco this week. J.K. Dobbins in Cincinnati is a go for show. Jordan Mason, you saw what he did last week. He did the exact same thing when he came in last year and backed up Christian McCaffrey. He's going to keep it rolling. He's going to get good usage. I said before, I think he's going to take the job away from Aaron Jones. And when Aaron Jones come back, he's going to end up being the backup. Anyways, Ja'Cory Krosky, start him, especially if Marcus Mariota is going to be starting at quarterback. You definitely want to consider starting Merritt here in your RB1 spot. Ramondre Stevenson. You're going to start either one of the New England Patriot running backs right now, especially playing against Carolina. Great matchup here for both running backs. So if you have both running backs, I would probably put Henderson in my RB1 or RB2, and I would hold Ramondre Stevenson for my flex spot in case something else comes up before 1 o'clock and you want to make a switch. Tyrone Tracy Jr. is doubtful. Cam Scatterbo's your guy. He's not on waiver wires though, so either you have him or you don't. We just talked about RJ Harvey, no go. Nick Chubb, if you have Nick Chubb this week, I have Nick Chubb. I'm actually fringing on starting Nick Chubb over Jahmyr Gibbs this week just because of the matchups. Tennessee is a very, very prime matchup for running backs. So I was saying Woody Marks is a good one if you need somebody just for this week. Woody Marks could put up 12 to 15 points. Nick Chubb could put up 20 points. So I'm gonna probably be playing him over Jahmyr Gibbs because my other running back is Kenneth Walker, and their matchup is prime. He's playing Arizona. That's a prime matchup for him. Of course, I'm not taking him out. Zach Charbonnet is a backup. He had a good week 1 game, mainly because of a touchdown. Out last week. I don't trust the backup over there. Quinshon Judkins is somebody who's been doing moderately well. He didn't get a week 1 start, but he got a week 2 start. I wonder how many waiver wires he's on. I don't think he's on any. 10 carries for 61 yards, 3 receptions for 10 yards, 18 carries in week 3 for almost 100 yards, 94, a touchdown, a reception for a yard. So let's see if he's on any waiver wires. Like, I'm not seeing him on my waiver wire, but that doesn't mean he's not on yours. Let's find him. So he's rostered on 69.5% of leagues on ESPN. So there is 30% of leagues out there where he's not taken. So I would suggest going and checking your waiver wires. If he's there, I would snag him. I would snag him. What's up, Cap for Life? Thanks for joining in. I don't know, bro. I don't know how Derrick Henry going to do that again. 3 times in a row. And 2 of them have been very costly. Very, very costly. And against good opponents, too. Like, that week 1 was death because that could basically determine number 1 seed right there. Rashad White against Philly. I already told people to put Bucky Irving in the flex spot here. I would not, unless you're in a 14-man league. I wouldn't lean on Rashad White. You're praying for a touchdown. It's pretty much, if you're playing Rashad White, you're praying for a touchdown. So yeah, you can see that Dylan Sampson is kind of losing that running back 1 role over there in Cleveland. Started the season 12 carries, 29 yards, 8 receptions, 64 yards. And then week 2, 4 carries for 6 yards, 3 receptions, 13 yards, and a touchdown. And then last week he only got 1 carry for 2 yards. Bashul Tutin. This guy gets carries. He gets the touches. He just doesn't do a lot with them. His week 2 performance is his best performance. He got the touchdown. He also got a touchdown this past week. But he didn't get a lot of yardage on his running. So, again, with him, if you're in a 14-man league, he's your flex. I would stick with him with your flex, especially against San Francisco this week. He might get the touchdown again over Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne Jr. Bang, bang, bang. What's the rest of my team? I got to replace. So I'm working on replacing Aaron Rodgers. I got to move this Falcons defense from Chicago. So I need a defense for this week. And I need a kicker for this week. So some good defenses for this week. I can't believe the Broncos are on my waiver wire. That's surprising. I can't believe the Broncos are on my waiver wire. We got Texans versus Tennessee. I don't think that's a good play. Buffalo Bills versus the New Orleans Saints. That would be a really good play right here. Patriots against Carolina. I wouldn't trust that one. 49ers. Rams. Bengals, no. Commanders in Atlanta. I wouldn't trust that. What would be a good one this week? Chargers at the Giants would be a good one. Jaguars, no. Stay away from that one. I mean, the Bears at the Raiders could either be good or it could bite you in the ass. I ain't gonna lie. It could either be really good or it could bite you in the ass. Man. Broncos at Cincinnati on Monday night. Bills at New Orleans on Sunday. I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick up the Bills defense playing against New Orleans. Oh, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? The heck? Where's my defense at? That's so weird. I don't even see my defense. Oh, there they are. They have them separated. Brandon McManus in Dallas could be a good play. I might keep him. But we're still going to look through kickers. Give you your sleeper kicker of the week. Rostered 81%. Chase McLaughlin. I dropped him last week and he puts up 20 points. What a jerk. What a jerk. Spencer Schrader this week could be a good pickup. Same with Evan McPherson. You're looking at lots of field goals here. Cincinnati playing Denver. Indy playing the Rams. You're looking at least 3 field goals. Maybe an extra point. Joshua Carty. He's only rostered on 9% of leagues. Evan McPherson, 15% of leagues. Daniel Carlson playing against Chicago this week. He's only rostered 4%. But your sleeper kicker of the week is going to be Nick Folk playing the Miami Dolphins on Monday night. He's only rostered on 4% of leagues in ESPN, so go pick him up if you play week to week with your kicker like I do. I mean, Brandon McManus, if he's available, take him. That's going to be a good game. Alright, so wide receivers, Jamar Chase this week. I say stay away. We all seen what happened last week. Jake Browning playing that game. It was not pretty. And this Denver defense has the nastiest secondary in the league right now. I do not see Jamar Chase being able to put up his usual numbers. Now, this is a really tough position to be in, but you look at Jamar Chase so far this year, and he's only had one good game against Jacksonville in week 2, where yes, he did put up 36 points and he looked like your number 1 pick, because that's where he went in most leagues, was number 1. And you're like, man, I can't sit my number 1 pick. Well, then lose your fantasy league. I don't care. Just where we're at right now. Like, you have to live in reality, bro. Like, Jamar Chase with Jake Browning throwing to him against the... You know he's going to have Patrick Surtain covering him. This isn't Joe Burrow throwing him the ball. Yes, 50%, like most of the time, Jamar Chase, you throw it up, the 50-50 balls, he wins. But in a case when you're going against a guy like Patrick Surtain, second, man, it's a whole different category of defender right there. Whole different category of defender right there. And I know you guys don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. But you need to listen. And you're going to thank me. You're going to come back next Tuesday and you're going to be like, you know what, Cat? You were right. Thank you. Thank you. Don't start him. Don't start him. Fringe flex. This 8.9 points that he put up last week. You might see that again, maybe less than that. So be wary. Hopefully you have other options. Amon-Ra St. Brown playing against Cleveland. He's going to put up modest numbers. Not going to be great, but he'll still put up his numbers. Justin Jefferson this week is going to feast. He is going to feast. Carson Wentz is going to feed him the ball. Pittsburgh is known to be vulnerable on the back end. Carson Wentz is the quarterback that can throw him the ball in stride. So expect a touchdown from Justin Jefferson on Sunday. You're starting him. CeeDee Lamb is doubtful. That pushes George Pickens and Jake Ferguson up in the depth chart for them. I would definitely be starting George Pickens in place of CeeDee Lamb. And depending on who your tight ends are, Jake Ferguson is probably a lock start this Sunday against Green Bay. Puka Nacua, we don't need to talk about that. You're starting him. Malik Neighbors here. This is another first round pick that's like questionable and just not performing up to their value. They're not performing up to their ADP where they were drafted at. I mean, yeah, week 2 he had a modest 12 points, 5 receptions, 71 yards on 12 targets. So he missed the ball 7 times. And is this Russell Wilson? There's a lot of things going on with the Giants right now. Playing against Dallas, he did have a really good game. 9 receptions on 13 targets, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns, put up 37 points. But Dallas also let Rome Odunze put up 2 touchdowns. Like they also let the Philadelphia Eagles put Jalen Hurts spread the ball around. So don't think that that's because Malik Neighbors is good. I mean, he is. But with the quarterback throwing the ball to him, really, really diminishes his value. And again, you got to take this week 2 game against Dallas with a grain of salt. That's because they were playing Dallas, and any number 1 wide receiver, whenever you're playing Dallas, you plug him in. Kansas City last week, he got 2 receptions for 13 yards, targeted 7 times, 3.3 points. They play the Chargers this week. Tougher than the Kansas City Chiefs. A much tougher game than the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't start him. I know he's your first round draft pick. I know it sucks that your first round draft pick is becoming a bust, but maybe this is how you fix them. Maybe this is how you fix them. You put them on the bench. Sit them out. Like, you know what? You need to get better. Come back next week. Nico Collins, I think he's going to get big numbers this week. He's going to do really well. He hasn't done that great, but he came out last week against Jacksonville late in the game and found his stride with C.J. Stroud. And that's why I'm probably going to pick up C.J. Stroud if I can't get Carson Wentz. Nico Collins is a lock. A.J. Brown, a lock. Playing against Tampa Bay. Brian Thomas Jr. This one here is a little scary, playing against the San Francisco 49ers, who are pretty stingy when it comes to giving up points. But they did just lose Nick Bosa for the season. So that could change. We could see BTJ get more usage this week. But so far this year, he's only had 7 receptions for 115 yards and a touchdown. Again, high draft pick, low value. Play him with caution. He's probably your flex. He's probably in your flex spot, and you might have somebody on your roster that will actually do better. Devontae Adams, you're going to play him every week. Every week, he's your flex / our wide receiver 2 option. He's going to get a touchdown every week. He may not get a bunch of receptions, but he's going to get a nice, big, long touchdown every week. Drake London, I would start him here. You're going to get Michael Penix Jr. to start the game. You could get Kirk Cousins finishing the game. Either way, this is going to be good for Drake London. 15 points they have for him. I would say it's about right. So he's looking at your wide receiver 2 / flex spot. JSN, very high value. Playing against Arizona. Definitely Sam Darnold's favorite target. He's a lock. He's a wide receiver 1. If you didn't get him last week, good luck getting him now. Tyreek Hill, playing against the Jets on Monday night. Gonna have Sauce Gardner guarding him. Now, there's some Jets fans out there that aren't too high on Sauce Gardner. They say that he's a bum and that his nickname shouldn't be Sauce, that we should be calling him CJ Mosley Gardner, his name, instead of calling him the Sauce. But he's going to have a chance to really prove it against the Cheetah, Tyreek Hill, who could run 26 miles an hour. But too bad that means nothing with Tua, who can't throw the ball. Not right now. He's struggling. He's not finding his receivers. There's no chemistry going on. I just wouldn't trust Tyreek Hill. Not playing against the Jets on Monday night. I'm sure you have better options on your team. It's sad that I gotta say that, right, about Tyreek Hill. 2 years ago, he was voted the number 1 player in the league, and here we are, saying that we might bench him for somebody else, like T. Higgins or Garrett Wilson in this situation. Garrett Wilson is set to have a really big week this week. Miami Dolphins are very vulnerable in the secondary, and Garrett Wilson is definitely the type of receiver that can take advantage of that. There are question marks around. I heard there were question marks around Justin Fields, but I'm pretty sure he's still in concussion protocol. So Tyrod Taylor is going to be getting the start here. That is the only advantage that the Miami Dolphins have going into this game, is the fact that it's going to be Tyrod Taylor and it's not going to be Justin Fields, because they are the same quarterback. It's just that Tyrod Taylor is like 10 years older. So, not as much pep in his step. But Garrett Wilson, definitely a lock as your wide receiver 1. Ladd McConkey, I don't know if we can lock him in. I don't know if we can lock him in as wide receiver 1 anymore. Yeah, he was a high draft pick for you. You had a lot of potential, especially because of last year and how much Justin Herbert used him and how well he did in his rookie year. But they went and picked Keenan Allen back up. They pulled Keenan Allen back into the system. Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert were playing together since Justin Herbert entered the league. And it's showing. Keenan Allen is wide receiver 1 over there in LA. And you got Quentin Johnston following right behind it. So Ladd McConkey has fallen to flex material. And that's fringe flex material. Look at this numbers. Look at these numbers. 6 receptions, 74 yards on 9 targets. 5 receptions, 48 yards on 5 targets. 4 receptions, 41 yards on 7 targets. Now, he's probably going to get some targets. He might get 5 to 7 targets again against the Giants. He might look really good against the Giants, to be honest. This is a matchup where the Chargers and Justin Herbert can use this game to stack and boost his stats for the MVP conversation later on down the line. So this is why I say Ladd McConkey can be your fringe flex spot right now, because I can see him getting a touchdown. I can see him probably getting 5 receptions on 7 or 8 targets, and probably getting close to 100 yards on those 4 or 5 receptions. So still pretty good modest points. That would put you about 15 points. So decent enough for a flex spot. T. Higgins, stay away from it. I honestly would favor T. Higgins over Jamar Chase, though. But I would personally just stay away from both of them. Just because of the whole quarterback situation. And the fact that they're playing Denver this week. It's not going to be pretty. DK Metcalf, you're going to play him. He's definitely a flex / R wide receiver 2 every week. Even this week playing against Minnesota, he's still going to get looked at. He's still going to get a catch or two. One of them might be big for a touchdown. Mike Evans doubtful with a hamstring, out for a couple weeks. So Egbuka, Chris Godwin is still out. He's still on IR. So Egbuka is your guy over there in Tampa Bay. He's going to get a lot of looks, a lot of touches. He's going to slide right up to your wide receiver 1 position. If you have Egbuka, you're definitely starting him. He's not sitting on your bench this week. Cade Otton as well. Go ahead, you could pick him up. He's probably on your waiver wire. If you're looking for a tight end for the week, Cade Otton this week and next week, probably a good option for a pickup. They're playing Philadelphia. Pretty good secondary, pretty good front 7. So going to be pressure in the quarterback. So Baker Mayfield is going to be looking for a tight end or somebody in the slot to dunk it off to, and that's where Cade Otton is going to come into play. Terry McLaurin, questionable. This really doesn't affect too much. He hasn't been very effective for them this year thus far. Deebo Samuel is their guy. You got Zach Ertz. And honestly, like, if I have Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel both healthy, I'm playing Deebo over Terry anyways. Zay Flowers playing against Kansas City Chiefs this week. I do believe you can go ahead and you can plug Zay Flowers into your wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 spot this week. It will be a decent game against the Chargers. I warned you guys not to play him last week. I hope you guys listened because he only put up 3 points. This week against the Kansas City Chiefs, I do have the Baltimore Ravens winning this game. I do see Lamar Jackson completing quite a few passes to Zay Flowers on their way to the victory. Marvin Harrison Jr. Here's another top stud wide receiver that has been failing to meet his ADP this year. Marvin Harrison Jr. It's hard to determine what's the cause of this, to be honest. But one thing I will say, I mean, even though they're playing Seattle, who has a tough secondary, I do believe the loss of James Conner is going to force Kyler Murray's hand, and as far as using Marvin Harrison Jr. goes. So if you pulled him out of your lineup last week because he didn't perform in week 2 against a weak Carolina team, and you pulled him out of your lineup last week, which was a smart move playing against San Francisco. He only put up 7 points. I would suggest putting him back in there. Putting him on your flex. Maybe another option rolls around. Your waiver wire. You hit the waiver wire and you pick up somebody. Boom, boom, boom. Roma Doomsday. Is he on? He's rostered on 93% of the league. So there's 7% of the ESPN leagues around that he might be in the waiver wire. Same with George Pickens. George Pickens is a lock this week. T-Mac is a lock this week. Cortland Sutton's going to be a lock this week. Devontae Smith, I already talked about. Egbuka. J-Mo is going to be a lock this week. Bro, I'm surprised Keenan Allen is still available in 15% of the leagues around ESPN. Every week he's put up 20 points. It's nonstop. Touchdown every week so far. Quentin Johnston is going to continue to get his utilization. Let's look at Chris Godwin. Has a strong chance of playing in Week 4 as Tampa Bay takes on the Eagles. He has a strong chance of playing, but he's not going to have a lot of snaps. He's probably going to have limited snaps based on the fact that he is coming off an injury and he hasn't played at all this year. So be wary of that. Let's go check out the waiver wire for your wide receiver. Jaden Higgins, Adam Thielen, Keyshawn Boutte. This week in Carolina, this could be a good week for him. He's rostered on 23%, so pretty much 75% of the leagues he is available. They have him projected at 7. I do think he'll get a little bit more than that. He's been getting increased production from week to week, and I believe it's going to continue. Week 1 against the Raiders, he had 6 for 100 yards and on 8 targets. Week 2 against Miami was nothing. He got one target. Week 3, he got 2 targets. 3 targets, 2 receptions. That will continue to go up because he's producing with his targets. And there's not a lot going on over there. Stephon Diggs is not doing really well right now. And we all know why. Step Daddy. Calvin Austin, Juju. Luther Burden had a really big pass this past week. So his target share has gone up by 1 each game so far. First week it was 1, second week 2, third week 3. He caught all 3 of his targets in week 3 though. I'm not really seeing anybody that's going to stand out. That's standing out to me. Trey Tucker had a pretty big game. He had a humongous game this past week. Week 1, he had 2 receptions for 54 yards. Week 2, he had 3 receptions for 12 yards. He had 1 carry for 7 yards. Oh, in week 1, he also had a touchdown on one of those receptions. And then last week against Washington, 8 receptions, 145 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 carry, and 4 yards. Now, is he going to do this every week? 3 touchdowns? No. But does it look like he's trending upwards? And he's on pretty much 100% of waiver wires. I guarantee you, though, everyone in your league is probably going to claim him. I'm about to claim him. I got a guy that I got to drop, Austin Eckler. We got to drop him. He's not going to do anything for us this year. Colston Loveland, I'm tired of waiting on him. Rashee Rice is suspended, but I'm not going to drop him. So here we go. Colston Loveland. And we're going to go ahead and put that claim in. Now, I'm not hoping he's going to put up 40 points, but if he keeps getting a continued increase in workload by the end of the season, he could be a guy that saves my season, putting up consistent 25 points for the last 4 games when you're in the playoffs. It matters. It matters. Making moves for the future. It's what we do around here. I'm not seeing really any more wide receivers that are sticking out to me as good pickups, like surefire pickups for this week. And again, I don't have everybody that's available for waiver wires. You guys might have some people that I don't have. But as far as my waiver wires go, if these guys are on your waiver wire, go ahead and pick them up. Kayshon Boutte, Trey Tucker, and who was it? Luther Burden III. Go ahead and pick those guys up. Tight ends, Dolphin fans, I got some news for you. If y'all were listening earlier this week, I had kind of already dropped the news in one of the other channels. But they kind of blew me off, didn't really believe me. But it's been confirmed ever since then. We're going to get to see Darren Waller in action on Monday night against the New York Jets. Finally, right? We've all been waiting. It's finally coming out. It's finally going to get revealed. But don't get excited, Dolphin fans. Don't get excited. He's already got a question mark on him. Don't get excited. And plus, even when he does come back and plays for us, it's not guaranteed that he's going to know what he's doing right away. Because he's not. It's going to take him a few weeks to figure it out and get the system down. So don't put him in yet. Don't put him in yet. And if he goes and puts up 20 points against the Jets, I'm sorry, but just trust me, just don't put him in yet. Dalton Kincaid. Rostered on 70% around the league, so 30% of leagues do have him available on the waiver wire, just like I do. This is a wonderful pickup going against the New Orleans Saints this week. If he is on your waiver wire and you are wondering what tight end you should be using, Dalton Kincaid looks like the guy. Cade Otton, again, I already said it. Cade Otton is another good option right now, especially with Mike Evans being out. And even though Chris Godwin Jr. is coming in this week, he's going to have very limited touches, very limited usage. So Cade Otton will pick up the slack here. We got Dalton Schultz playing against Tennessee this week. He hasn't really gotten much usage as of yet so far this year. You can see week 1 was 3 receptions on 5 targets. Week 2, 3 on 4. And then week 5 in Jacksonville was 5 for 6. Not really doing too much with his targets. So don't know if I would necessarily trust that. But if you're really hurting, could be an option. Hey, welcome in. Pat Freiermuth. You got Jonnu Smith over there, who's definitely taking all the looks from Aaron Rodgers. Wouldn't trust that. I want to see how Jake Tongs did last week. Oh, I'm glad I dropped him. I'm glad I dropped him. He only did 4 points last week. Mike Gesicki is an interesting play right here. We have Mike Gesicki and Noah Fant, but Noah Fant is questionable. And for this week and this week alone, it seems like a really good play, especially considering Noah Fant's going to be out. You got Jake Browning is going to be panicking and needing to dump the ball off. He's going to be looking in that mid-range area And that's right where Mike Gesicki thrives. So Mike Gesicki could be a sneaky good play here, but play it with your own risk. I'm saying, like, if you don't have a surefire tight end starter and you play week to week for your tight end, some people do that. That's how they win their league. Some people play week to week on every position except running back and wide receiver. That's what I'm doing this year. Quarterbacks are week to week. Defense is week to week. Tight end is week to week. Kickers week to week. My flex is week to week. We're going to win the championship doing it this way too. Watch. Watch. Alright, so Mike Gesicki, risky play. It's definitely a gamble play, but I think if you can't find a better tight end, go for it. I would take Jonnu Smith or Cade Otton or Dalton Kincaid over Mike Gesicki, but I'm saying if you don't have one of those other guys, go ahead and toss Gesicki in there and roll the dice. Tyler Higbee playing against Indianapolis. They have a split tight end backroom field over there, so you can see here, like, the utilization is very sporadic for the tight ends in Los Angeles. I would just stay away. Stay away. Is Tucker Kraft still dealing with an injury right now? I'm not sure. Because if Tucker Kraft is still dealing with an injury going into this week and he's not going to be playing, this could be a good week for Luke Musgrave, who is on pretty much everybody's waiver wires. This is going to be a prime matchup for... They're playing Dallas. This is going to be a prime matchup for the tight ends and the big money receivers, which Green Bay doesn't really have a lot of those big deep receivers. They kind of just spread the ball around, so I think the tight end is a good position to invest in. Let's see here. Thursday, but Packers starter would be filling his usual role in week 3 while Musgrave failed to make the mark. Musgrave is not even locked in as number 2 tight end. John Fitzpatrick scored his first career touchdown on Sunday and has played roughly the same number of snaps through 3 weeks. So it looks like Tucker Kraft is going to get the start anyways, so it don't matter. Bom bom bom, bom bom bom, bom bom bom. Oronde Gadsden II. All my Finn fans know who this guy is. So he had his first start against Denver last week. He had 5 receptions for 7 targets. He had 46 yards. So he put up a 9.6 points for his first game. He's not rostered on any league. He's the great Oronde Gadsden's son. So if you're a Finn fan and you need a tight end, go grab him. Try him out for the week. He might turn out to be really great. But it's too early. Only 1 game in so far. I can't really give you a concrete answer. It could have just been like first time's a charm. You know what I mean? Like, have a good first game. So just play that one with caution. Again, if you're a Finn fan, you might like picking him up. But based on his week 1 performance, technically it's week 3, but it's his first game. Not bad. 5 receptions on 7 targets, 46 yards, an average of 9.2 yards per reception. It's not bad. Trying to see if I can find you guys some sneaky picks. But we ain't got none in my waiver wire. Bang, bang. So I think that fills out my team. Because I'm going to stick with my kicker. I traded for my defense. Hopefully this person accepts this trade. I'm trying to trade them Jameson Williams for Alvin Kamara. I'd be willing to trade Rashad Bateman for Alvin Kamara. Move will process on the morning. And then I'm trading Aaron Rodgers for Carson Wentz through the waiver wire. That'll be my first waiver wire claim. My second waiver wire claim will be Bills for Falcons defense. And then my third one, I'm picking up. I'll see if he's still available. I'm going to be nice and I'm going to let others around my league get the opportunity to pick this guy up. But if they don't pick him up, I'm going to grab him. Trey Tucker. Switching out Colston Loveland with the injury anyways. So easy decision there. So let's see if we get Trey Tucker. But we don't really need another wide receiver. I would use it as trade incentives later in the season. Because you can see our team here. We play our quarterback week to week. So ignore the fact that Aaron Rodgers is there. We plan on changing that. Jahmyr Gibbs, Kenneth Walker III. A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams is usually my wide receiver one. Locked in. Great value. Keenan Allen. It's either Devontae Adams or Keenan Allen that goes in my wide receiver one. Just depends on the flex options. Like I switched out Nick Chubb this week and didn't play him. I made all the perfect moves this week. Switched out Nick Chubb. Put Kenneth Walker back in because I switched them out last week again. For week 2, I had Chubb over Kenneth Walker. I had Kenneth Walker benched, and I had Chubb playing over Kenneth Walker. And that was a good move. A.J. Brown, though, killed me my first 2 weeks putting up duds, but I hope he's back for good. I hope that wasn't a fluke with the performance that he put up against the Rams, because he was another one of those wide receivers with first-round ADP not putting up the points and not living up to those points. Well, that runs you through your list. We went through your quarterbacks, running backs, your wide receivers, tight ends, your kickers, and your defense. Let you know all kinds of people you could pick up off the waiver wire to fill your slots, to let you know the ultimate running back, ultimate trade move. This is a league-winning trade that you should do. Go back and check it out. You got to do it. You got to go get that running back because, like I said, it's a league-winning move. And you can get him for so cheap right now. So cheap right now. Don't forget, we got the DCC going on. You can click the QR code. You can click the link in the chat. If you can, go make a donation. It's all 100% tax deductible. 100% of the proceeds go to cancer research. Silvestri Cancer Research, definitely a good cause. We're trying to raise $2,500 as a goal. For every $500 raised, I personally will run 1 mile per $500 every day all the way up until the 5K. And then I may run around that track 3 or 4 times.
Don't agree with it? That's too bad.
Like and subscribe anyways. Charlie's Choice Collectibles. You can find that shop on Macari. He's got all kinds of cool stuff. NFL and non-NFL alike. You can get yourself some flags, a set of penalty flags and challenge flags. They're only $15. He's got all kinds of other cool stuff on there as well for the football fans and non-football fans alike. Make sure you hit him up in the chat, say the AFCEastieBoys sent you, and he'll accept any offer that you give him. Also working on some... Oh, I don't have it available. Also working on some new personalized jerseys. You guys can get you a personalized jersey of your team or just of whatever. Or you can get yourself a personalized AFCEastieBoys jersey. Just hit him up in the McCurry shop. Let him know. Send him a message. Be like, hey, I want one of them new AFCEastieBoy jerseys. And we'll get that shipped right out to you. You can get those for $35. $35. I don't have one of the shirts to show you, or I would show you. I'm a bad advertiser, man. Bad advertiser, man. All right. Oh yeah, 500 subscribers. 500 subscribers. When we hit 500 subscribers, we're doing a giveaway. We got a Mike Gesicki signed photo, 9x16 from his rookie year, while he's hurdling over somebody wearing the number 86 because the number 88 was taken when the Miami Dolphins drafted him. How you can win that? I'm going to tell you. Share, like, subscribe, comment. When we hit 500 subscribers, we're paying attention. The one of you viewers that shows this channel the most love, helps us get to that 500, it's yours. We're going to ship it right out to you. And if you're in the South Florida area, somewhere in the South Florida area, maybe the AFCEastieBoys will show up and give it to you in person. Who knows? But we'll be back next week with another episode of your fantasy football tune-up to get you ready for your week. Peace out.